If I'm turned to you, it's because my neck like literally freezes up if I'm like looking the whole time. Just so you know, I'm like.
No, I'm.
Talk about old.
Oh no. I have every episode I just sit like this and it's my profile, and I'm a big yo-yo dieter. Put on 20, take off 20.
I'm so with you.
Oh, it's ridiculous. So
I'm down 11 pounds since January 1st.
What?
That's up. Yeah. You know why? No sugar. That's how badly I treat my body. I'm not.
How much sugar do you usually have?
Well, I got married in October. And thank you. But from there, it was binge eat central. Yeah. Straight through Thanksgiving, straight through Christmas. So much traveling. We just got the new platinum Amex card, which lets you get the prime lounge at the airports.
Ooh.
So you go in there stealing cookies. I put on a movie in the flight, just start eating cookies from my back. My wife's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Yeah, I've lost 11 pounds because I'm an asshole.
That's amazing though.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get it.
It's not just looks. Your eyesight gets better when you cut sugar. You just drop all this weight. It's like they're literally killing it. I can't have ketchup. You know what I mean? Like all this stuff.
Yeah, ketchup is and I love ketchup.
It's sugars everywhere.
I've tried the primal ketchup. Disgusting.
Yeah. No, it's good because it's sugar and that's cocaine to our brain. You know what I mean?
It really is. I get pissed that they keep killing us.
Killing us. Because they did corn subsidies. So they're like, well, if there's a subsidy on corn, we can make sugar out of corn and we'll put it. So like in like the 80s, Coca-Cola just went dark for a week and came back with corn syrup. And we're just supposed to be like, cool.
Yeah.
The pyramid was like, oh, no, eat the bread. Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, now I as a chubby kid, never lost my virginity because the food pyramid was, oh yeah.
How big were you?
I was a chubby, I always say we got fat kid nipples. There's no getting rid of the nipple fat. You know what I mean? You can diet, but you're going to have fat kid nipples. It's like if a lightning strikes a tree, you'll always see the mark of the lightning in the tree. That's my nipples. That's my lightning of the tree.
Do you have a joke about that?
It's only when I see someone in the audience who looks like they might have fat nipples. Oh. And then we just like make it real niche and we bond. And the women are like, what? Because men don't care what women's nipples look like. I feel like men just love women. I could be wrong, but I feel like men are just hey, whatever you have for me is great.
Yeah, there's free the nip. There's not free a certain nip.
Yeah. But for men, if you have your buddies, you're in the locker room, hey, Silver Dollar Dave. What do you throw some salamis on those things? And you're like, if you saw them, you'd be like, well, that's not too bad. But it's like, yeah, but they're not like tight bolt-ons like every guy wants.
I remember we went to this water park called the Rapids Water Park. Ride the Rapids, have some fun. Ride the Rapids, everyone. It's my new sponsor, Rapids Water Park. And my friend Tiffany was dating this kid. I don't remember his name. And everyone just made fun of his nipples. And I was like, that sucks. You can't wear a bikini. You can't cover that shit.
And you go, why do men have gun problems? Because they had fat nipples and God forbid you're uncircumcised. So many issues that we grew up with where like the biggest fear I had growing up was you'd watch like Wonder Years and they would always show the kids like showering in the showers and you'd be like, oh my gosh, do I have to shower with other guys? You just knew you were just going to be ripe for bullying and you're just like living in fear.
You have to just make it a joke. I think even if there's not the little boy in the audience, anyone could visualize it right away.
Yeah, I had some tags back in the day, like called like you can't shrink nipples, like there's no P nipple X. Just like stupid shit. Oh no, the one was that now that I'm older and chubbier, that my nipples are not round anymore. They sort of cave under their own pressure. They look like a nearsighted guy in the drive-through.
Oh
kind of
my
like,
God.
what is that? I'm probably gross somebody out right now, but that's where we're at. Life's fine. Okay when nipples are the thing you go to. It's like everything else is okay, but the nipple, and this as a comedian, you'll sort of look at yourself and be like, what can I make fun of? And you're a very like a normal looking person, right? You're not 6'7", you're not 400 pounds, you're not 3 foot tall. When you see comics that have these very specific physical things they can make fun of, it's so fun when they get on stage, they can immediately just crack into it.
They really
and you got to be a little smarter when you're just a normal size.
Right? That's what you got to let them know what's under the shirt.
Just rip it off to start. But that's the thing, not to complain at all. It's just you're looking for where are the cracks in my physique that an audience might, like if I want to go to a crowd and be like, oh, dating's hard, they're going to go like, oh, go fuck yourself, But I'd have to set it up with, well, I was dumped when I was in this grade. And you have to build the empathy because it's not immediately there as someone who, has half their face missing or something. You just hate to say, because what is a tragedy in life is killer on stage. And
that's
as comics,
why I made the podcast.
There you go.
You gotta we have to embrace the shit.
Yeah, and I did not plan to open up with my fat nipples. I got, yeah. And I always say it's like my wife's sort of gluten-free and I'm codependent, so I eat all the biscuits. But it really is like I have a problem. I don't know, raised Catholic or what, or a single mom maybe. I have a problem with not finishing my plate. So if
Me
there's,
too.
yeah. So it's like I have, and she'll be like, I'm done. I'll be like, you're not done till you hate life.
Yeah. My mom's like, I don't know why you always finish your plate. I've never forced you to, but I just have to.
What was it? Where's the scarcity in your life?
I just love food.
Yeah, but there's something there.
Oh, I don't know.
My mom, shout out to her. She doesn't even talk about this, but she's lost 125 pounds.
Holy shit, that's great.
Since the pandemic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for
and
her.
It's been her lifelong sort of like guilty pleasure. She doesn't drink. You know what I mean? Like it's food. And I understand that. And it's hard to empathize with someone else when it's food because it's not just how you look. You eat a thing of brownies, you can't think straight. And with stand-up, you got to be sharp.
You do.
You know? I mean, eat a thing of brownies and then go right for an hour. You're going to be fucking done.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy how different I feel on stage when I'm a confident weight and then when I'm not.
Yeah.
And it's not about like everyone, to other people, I look the same. Like probably the 20 pounds. They can't see it. Girls, luckily, it goes with the boobs.
That is true. Women have this amazing, like, sort of a package. It's like, oh, you want to gain some weight? We're gonna make you thick.
We get curves and tits.
Guys don't gain weight in any. It's never like, all right, I gained 20 pounds. My shoulders are jacked. No.
Yeah, big dick and shoulders.
But that must be wild. I mean, women can go full cup sizes difference based on like, you know, a couple days off their cycle or whatever. It's just.
It's wild.
I'm so in when my wife, she's on her period, and I grew up with no one. You know, they split the men and the boys and girls up in health class where I grew up. So we just learned enough about us and nothing about the female body. So periods, shedding of things. When she was like, "Oh my gosh, like it's a heavy flow," I'm like, "Let's see it. This is body." And she was like a little embarrassed. I'm like, don't be embarrassed. This is like your body's amazing that you can do this.
Yeah.
I just know nothing about it.
Do you have brothers?
You're much younger.
Okay, so no sisters.
Sister is an Irish twin, 11 and a half months older than me.
What's an Irish twin?
It means you're born less than a year apart.
Oh.
Brothers, 11 and 18 years younger than me.
Oh,
so I'm
wow.
almost like an uncle, sort of older brother figure to them.
So yeah, you weren't around for all those. Oh no, so less than a year.
Yeah, but we weren't even talking during puberty.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It was like she hated me. It was like we were too close in age. It was like too much friction. It wasn't until like literally college where we could like have a beer and be like, yeah, families are weird, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
My brother and we went at it, like knives, fighting. We're 3 years apart.
There you go.
And fuck. And
you're younger?
I'm older.
Okay.
So I was really.
So you could like kick his ass for a while then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel awful now because we're best friends since high school, since we started drinking, you know?
That's it.
That's when you bond.
You just need a few beers to be like, yeah,
chill
barbecues.
Out.
Chill out. You can just, because you have a common denominator, like, oh, mom's a bitch, huh? Yeah, she is. Pass a cold one.
It's crazy. But now I feel awful because I'm like, I mean, think about that. That's like probably the first 13 years of his life. Since the day he was born. My mom said before he was born, I said, I don't want him. I don't want a brother. And in 13 years, I was just a bitch to him. That's got to fuck someone up.
Yeah. Yeah, he's probably got some issue because of you.
For sure. For sure.
You know, it's just, you deal with it. You make it, you know, you try to make the best out of it. You know, we're weird comedians, but our own sort of need to be loved can sometimes lead to, you know, the best feelings in the world of relating. I wanted to say this, which is probably adjacent to this topic, but last time I saw you was at this shittiest show. Everybody was bombing. It relates to my my wife's period here. I go on podcasts and talk about her period. She's like, can you not do this?
Shout out to Tasha.
Hey, 3 or 4 comics, we all bomb. It's like second floor of this brewery. The music's playing. The crowd could give 2 shits. You get up on stage and do this tampon joke. The women in the audience were like, yeah, like you were surprised. You were like, what? Like this?
Was surprising.
It was you crushed so hard. I feel like I texted your guy to be like, your lady crushed. I just wanted to like tell people so because you can't say I crushed. You need someone else to say it. And too often with comedians, we're so focused on ourselves that I think it's important to be like, no, you owned that whole room for the whole time you were on stage. It was fun to say because I've seen you at open mics where we don't really get the love there. And then to see you in front of a human audience, I was like, oh, Mandy's got it going on there. Yeah.
That was really weird. I think that was very surprising.
Was that your hardest hitting set? Like that was up there. It popped. It was popping.
I felt like I could crowd surf off that stage.
Yeah. I would never do comedy again. Like that's it. I'm Mandy and I'm out. I'm done.
Definitely felt good.
Sometimes it just hits that way.
It was so weird.
And that's the high you want.
And the funny thing is, I recorded both of our sets and I was so excited to have mine. You can't hear us at all. Sorry, I told you I'm not going to send it.
Of course.
It's just the music blasting from the downstairs bar. And I'm like, I'll just have to remember this here.
The venue, as far as audio and lighting goes, is not good for any sort of tape. No. But if you did, I mean, it would have, I don't know, they never translate to what it feels like in the moment. When someone saw me recently in New York who follows my YouTube channel, and she was like, oh, you're so much funnier in person. I was like, yeah, because I don't know. Like, you never know what reads to an internet crowd versus like feeling in the moment. It's just like you share the art medium with the internet, but it's never as good. My favorite comic, Robert Kelly, just crushes in person. And then, his special was good, but it's like, no, that's like nothing compared to live where you can feel the authenticity of it all.
It's so different. That's just like even like telling a story to someone. You had to be there. Like when it has that like, all of the feelings of everybody else and it just happening live. It's so different.
It is. But it's good to, see, and you try to replicate that when you can. And then, what's important is having the jokes ready for when the audience is that good. Because I've had hot audiences where I'm like almost out of taglines, and I'm like, I could have just kept talking, and they would have kept laughing. And I was like almost like I had the bow, but didn't have the arrows. I was like, I'm out of arrows, and you're just like, oh, all right, bye.
Yeah, it does feel like that. That night too. This was the craziest thing. So, I got off stage and I was like, of course, I'm in a great mood. And we were talking out front for a while. I don't remember who, like a group of people that I didn't know from the show. And this one guy was talking about David Spade's special. And I was like, yeah, but David Spade's the best. The special was good. Like he was talking shit about it. And I was like, Joe Dirt's my favorite movie. And I'm like, don't talk shit about David Spade. And then the next day I had to post this reel. Like I've only had 2 really pop off. Gotta do better. But David Spade messaged me saying that he thought it was funny.
Oh, there you go.
I was like, I was just talking about you. How crazy. Blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, why did I just message him that I was just talking about him?
Yeah, no,
I wish I would have just said thank you.
Guys like him that are like peripheral characters around like the Adam Sandler. I think the normal thing is like, oh, he's some B-lister or it's like, no. When you look at his career and what he's done, like the dude's been in a ton of projects and his story, I mean, with his assistant trying to kill him.
Oh my God.
And he had to sell like the rights to Joe Dirt to Chris Rock because he knocked up a Playboy model. I'm like, can we get a David Spade, like either just follow this guy around because I can imagine like him, he puts on his little blonde wig and he goes out there and he's like, I need real David Spade. Whatever Joe Dirt might be funny, give me David Spade. Just that. I've
listened to both of his audiobooks and they are so good. So they should definitely make a David Spade.
I used to do background work right when I started in Boston. It was that family movie they made, Grown Ups.
Yeah.
And David Spade, I was hitting on this girl. She was like cute. She was also doing background. I'm like, oh, it's going well. David Spade walks up and introduces himself to us. And I knew in a million years, David Spade would have no desire to talk to me, but I understood the move. He's going to introduce, oh, hey, nice to meet you. Oh, hello. And they ended up going like on a date or whatever.
Really?
I dated her separate. Like we kind of dated first. She saw my fat nipples and moved to David Spade. But I was going to have it. I was like, David Spade, you good luck.
Wow. You might be Eskimo Brothers with David Spade.
Could be a little Dave thing.
Yeah. Wow. That's great.
The boy can dream.
Wait. So what's Tasha's period thing? Did we get back to that?
Oh, she just had her period. That's all. Just breaking news for anyone. Yeah. No, but I was just so curious because she'll be like, she needs her heating pad and all these things that when I was single, I would date women and they would just not come over if it was their period. They would just avoid me. And now it's like periods. Who cares? Whatever. It's just, I'm not nothing at all grossed out about it. I'm not like, but like, she was dabbling with the what's it called? Like the cup. It's like this silicone Diva cup.
Yeah.
And I'm looking into this. Because I'm like, I'm Googling the Diva cup. It's like, it's like a little silicone chalice.
I've never used one.
And it just goes in there and so I look it up. Apparently, like a lot of Eastern religions and stuff have been using this for hundreds of years. This is, and we're so, our Western culture is so removed. We're all big pharma and all this. So here we have like, I don't know all the details, so don't sue me, but like talcum powder or whatever causing cancer with people's tampons. I know nothing about this. But it's like all these things that we're doing that are like modern, and it's like actually for hundreds of years they've been just putting this thing in their vagina and catching the uterine lining. I don't know anything about it. I'm just saying maybe we don't have all the answers. Maybe Unilever, who owns all the tampon companies, is maybe like creating products we don't need. I don't know.
The craziest thing is, imagine if all those people back then learned that we now use it and call it a Diva cup.
Yeah. Like it's some Kardashian affiliate sales. Get 15% off your Diva cup.
It's like the opposite name of what they should have called it.
Yeah. I don't know. Either way, look, I hope one day if I have daughters, that I don't want to be like weird, but I want them to be like, Dad, I'm on my period. Can you just be kinder? Sure, honey. Like, I don't want her to just be like, I fucking hate you, Dad. And I'll go, you're grounded for a year. No, like I want to know. I want to, and it doesn't mean I want to be their best friend. I just want to give them like the benefit of the doubt. And if they need space, my wife always talks about like she was like sort of the older sibling usually is under more control, and then they become counter dependent, especially women. You're the oldest sibling.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is true for you, but like you seem pretty chill. You're from Florida, so maybe they don't even do this. Maybe they don't have boundaries in Florida. But she would have all these like restrictions on when you should be home and this and that, and it just kind of forced her to be this like independent personality and push away. And like I don't want my kids to push away. I want a tracking device on them. I want to make what I mean. I want an AirPod. But I like not to check every second, but just be like, you don't have to be home at 10 p.m., but you have to make sure when you're up in the morning to get all your work done. There's consequences if you want to go to a concert, but I'm not going to not let you go or do prom night, the after party, these types of things. Like I don't know. We live in a weird time where I think our parents, generally speaking, had zero information on how to parent. They're not wondering what our love language is. What this, what that is. They're just
anxiety or OCD.
So clueless. And I talk about it, how like we have weighted blankets because our parents didn't hug us growing up. They're like, oh, cry yourself to sleep. They thought you could just cry. It's like, and now you're realizing like, well, I don't know. I don't have kids, but it's like, let them cry for 10 minutes and then help. I don't know. There's like proven ways to do it. And we were raised in a way that it wasn't done right. And now we have to have podcasts. You know what I mean?
Somebody listen to me.
Like, please rate and review Mandy or we're going to have a problem here.
It's so true. My only thought. Also, thank you for the coffee. What's your Venmo? Let's have everyone Venmo you money.
It's not going to happen. It's a tax write-off. But yeah, you got
Venmo Dave Neal and just donate him because he got me this coffee and he won't take my money. So
but by the way, a black venti is a lot of caffeine. That's a good size. Like when you said give me a black venti, I was like, oh, we're not fucking around today. This isn't one of those short form things. We're going for it.
I drink a lot of coffee, but today I haven't had much, so I'm excited.
Yeah. I'm a big coffee guy. Last year I had to start with the measured water, so I do the water jug. It's like $10 on Amazon, and it tells you what time of the day it is, and it'll be like I've only had up to 8 a.m. and it's noon. I just got to start chugging it.
Yeah.
I didn't drink water for 35 years. I'm not kidding. Like
I'm the same. I'm the exact same.
And now I'm like, and then Tom Brady, of course, when Tom Brady does something, if you're from New England, you start doing it. Just so you know. So Tom Brady's like, I drink a lot of water, and I'll go, I guess I got to start drinking a lot of water if Tom Brady's doing it.
He's aging well.
But he's like, he goes, he doesn't get sunburned because he drinks a lot of water. And people go, that's crazy. And I go, I don't know. Is that crazy? I mean, imagine if all of your cells are actually moisturized. Maybe they protect themselves. I don't know. I'm throwing off a lot of like information of stuff I don't really.
I confidently say things that are false.
Yeah.
All the time. I'm just a Facebook on a podcast.
Yeah. No one will judge you. Just stand firm in your misbeliefs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like all we can try to do. We're getting older here. Is just to like. sharpen the sword a little bit. Try to, are you going to try to have kids someday, you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and you don't want to fuck them up.
No.
I have an aunt who, her husband's from France, and he's my favorite family member. I always say, my favorite family member is the one I'm not blood related to. He's a great guy. He doesn't work like too hard or aggressive. He doesn't have this hustle culture. They take their time, but they do it right, And when I studied in France, this was when it was like freedom fries and like fuck this.
Yeah.
And it was all this shit. But like they've done studies that the French actually work harder per hour than Americans with their 40-hour-a-week jobs, which turns into 50. 70% of the time, you're walking around corners trying to avoid your boss with nothing to do.
Because you're
but
miserable.
We just feel like we have to be there, even though automation's taken over this and that. And anyway, they've got 2 adult children that they travel with, and they can talk about anything. They can bring their boyfriends and girlfriends, and I'm like, oh, that, and no fault to my mom, but like that's the relationship I want with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I just want somebody I can get in the carpool lane with. Really,
Yeah.
I just want someone. Maybe I'll be, and again, maybe I'll just get asshole children, and I'll just be like, listen, yeah, I gave you a little bit of a room here, but you're an asshole.
No, because then you see them becoming an asshole, and then all right, now I got to be a little stricter. Feel it out.
Yeah.
But it is true. All of my friends that had super strict parents ended up being the biggest crazy sluts.
There you go.
Sluts is such a funny word to say.
Love a good slut. Because it's like, do what you got to do, burn off whatever you need to burn off.
Yeah.
And maybe that means banging some rock stars and improvisers. You know what I mean? Maybe.
And improvisers, what's worse? A rock star? What would you rather have?
I'll tell you what.
Your daughter bangs.
An improviser's worse than a rock star. At least a rock star, you know what you're getting. An improviser will be like, let's run some games. And next thing you know, you're like, why are we naked? Like, what? Now, improvisers, stand-up comics are pretty bad, but I think everyone's like, I'll never date a comic again. And I'm like, who hurt you? Like, I'm somebody's I'll never date a comic again, I'm sure.
So am I.
Yeah. And then you learn your lesson and you go, whatever. I dated a comic early on. I don't think she does stand up anymore, probably because of me. No, we didn't even date. We just hooked up, and it was actually fine. But I feel like I was probably like the comic notch off of her. What kind of guys do I not want to be with? Because you're sort of selfish and self-obsessed, and that's just how it is until you're at a place where you're, I don't know, just more grounded. Like I feel like we'll never get there. Like we're always pursuing something. But like I'm 37, I just got married. I kind of feel like my hustle isn't what it used to be, and no one else, like I don't look at I'm being like less, I still have jealousy that's like innate. When someone else does well, I still go, oh. It's like, first of all, I didn't even want SNL. Why do I care that he got it? Mm-hmm. But then I'll still see like a bad review for him, and I'm like, ooh. It's like, what is that? But like, you still, and then I have to remember, I'm trying to think who it was. There's a comic that does really well, and I met him years ago, and I'm 1 or 2 years ahead of him. And I saw him on a podcast, and my first thought was, don't support that podcast, don't support him. But I knew he was going to be giving good advice. And am I humble enough to take advice from somebody who's done it less time and is way more successful? Mm-hmm. And that's something that we just have to like put down our like sort of like me versus you world. And I think podcasting is good, but like we're not competing for anything. No. I can tell you when you kill, and we can have a fun time and all these things. And you're, all the other comics we know, like you just quickly realize who are the comics that are sort of feeling like they're secure in what they're doing versus those that immediately want to shit on David Spade and immediately want to be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. It's like, give the guy some credit. He's kind of in the comedy hall of fame. Maybe he's not so funny on stage, but maybe that's because he's working in feature films, you open mic fuck.
Oh, you couldn't have said it any better.
But we've all been there.
Yeah.
Who's your like under your skin? You don't have to say names if you don't want to, but like under your skin, you're so mad that they've had success. Like, do you have someone that you compare? Like, do you compare yourself to female? Because I'll never compare myself to a female comic. Mm. I just compare myself to a guy that may look like me or have the opportunities that I would have because I can like properly compare.
Yeah, most people I don't see as a competition at all. I really am very good at focusing just on me.
Don't make me look bad.
But
don't make me look bad.
I listen to a lot of self-help books. This is what bugs me the most. Is because like you and I had Johnny Mitchell on the other day. Like you and him, I feel like we've been at it like at open mics like 10 years ago.
It adds up. Yeah.
Like it's been 10 years, and I love those people who like, you're doing great, he's doing great, and I'm like, fuck yeah, they worked hard for it. They were patient. They grew as a person, as a comedian, as everything. And then you see, this is who I fucking hate, these producers who think they could skip the line. And then they get all like cocky because they get on these big shows. And I'm like, you've been doing it for 2 years.
I know who you're thinking of.
There's a few, but.
She's like, I got a list. I don't compare to others. Do you want alphabetical order? Do you want those from the U.S. and those from, there's a whole, yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, no, you're right. And the thing to learn from them is that anything you do in life, whether you're a poet, you write a best-selling novel, whatever, it comes down to equity. Do you have equity? Do you have ownership over what you do? Do you have an audience and a following? I'm doing a show with Katie Thurston from The Bachelorette. Do you know her? She was The Bachelorette 2 years ago.
I don't want to start any controversial topics, but I stopped after Chris Harrison left.
That's okay. That's all right. You conservative fuck. I'm just kidding.
I know that's why I didn't want to say because it sounds like I'm conservative.
I'm anti-cancel. No, I talk about it all the time. But with Katie, she started stand-up. Her first set was opening for Whitney Cummings in a theater.
Exactly.
And she's like, I bombed. It's like, yeah, no shit you did. What the hell did you want? That's horrifying. But she's gotten back into it and she's doing well. We're going to do a show together February 15th in San Diego. It's going to sell out because she has a big following. She has this equity she's built and now she can bring that to her stand-up. But she's putting the time in. She's getting other comics stage time, paying them. Like she's understanding of the privilege that got her there.
That's good.
And that only gets you onto the stage. Then you have to deliver so they'll come back. And the pandemic kind of birthed a lot of TikTok stars that kind of came out of nowhere. And maybe they have an audience, but are they going to come back next year? Or are they going to see you and then tell all their friends to come back? Maybe, but guys like Johnny and hopefully myself, we've done it long enough that I think we have a little bit more value to provide, but you can't fault the people that hustled to bring an audience together because it's definitely fun to see comedy clubs not have that power anymore. To be like, look,
so great.
I'll do a VFW. The itch I need to scratch on my body doesn't have to be at the Comedy Store. It's great if it is, but it doesn't have to be there.
Yeah.
Like I'll wherever. We just want to have fun. We just want to tell jokes. And if you can bring your audience, the Dane Cook sort of, he built this model where he went direct to his audience, college kids, his newsletter. I used to open for a guy who started in the 80s, and he used to get everyone's mailing address, and he would mail them, I'm going to be in your town.
That's
so when
insane.
we complain that it's time to do a hashtag, I go, do you realize our forefathers, cue the national anthem. Do you realize like how harder it was? So I look at, and I don't mean to get too in the weeds with stand-up, but
no, I love it. This is a stand-up podcast.
Like up until the pandemic, I was working minimum wage jobs floating by, and now it's been very successful. And I was bitter and hurting and all these things. And you'd hear these podcasts of like, Louis C.K., they used to ride their motorcycles around New York and just get their $20 spot pay, doing 7 shows a night, leaving with $400 or $500, all this cash, this and that. You're like, oh man, you can't get money from comedy clubs anymore. Like that world no longer exists except for a very few people. But we've got Patreon, we've got OnlyFans, we've got all these things that can generate so much more wealth than $20 spot pays that we have to think bigger picture. Like we can perform in front of a whole world. People send you Venmos all the time. I get Venmos for my coffee, by the way. No, I'm kidding.
Venmo him.
But I get so many people, so many Christmas gifts for my audience. They come to shows. They build us ornaments. I mean, it's like, I cry at how I'm just like, oh, like Caitlin Bristow sent us 3 bottles of wine. She was she was a bachelorette. So like all these people that are in my community have been so loving. And I'm like, oh, we need to gravitate towards the people that believe in you versus the ones that don't. And it's hard with stand-up because we only perform usually with other comics, and we're all sort of fighting for this pseudo limited stage time that's not really limited, It's
not. That's why we don't have to care about any of these people because we're building our own following. And that's why I wanted to do a podcast. I was like, that's the best way when you see you have your people that will support you wherever you are. And fuck the clubs if you don't need them.
They call it 1,000 fan principle. If you have 1,000 fans that each want to spend X amount of money on you every year, it's sustainable. And obviously more the merrier, more than 1,000, 100,000 would be better. But yeah, my audience, super niche. But it for sure, my 60,000+ YouTube subscribers for sure outperforms just about any 500,000 channel subscribers out there because they're loyal and they, you know what I mean? So it's like we live in a world where obviously it'd be nice to be like an Andrew Schultz who has this like sort of mass appeal to like stand up. I would say he's pretty mass appeal. I mean, that's great to get to, but like you can carve up something very specific, like your podcast right here. You want to talk about trauma, you want to talk about like things that suck that we're overcoming. Like, yeah, a lot of people like that's going to resonate with a lot of people, but you also like attack it from a specific point of view that'll separate you. And then I think it's great what you're doing.
Oh, I can't wait for it to get going. Like, you just got to be consistent. It's crazy how so many times I'm sure you live your life editing in front of a computer a lot.
Yeah.
Or most of it, you do live and then you do edit. I
shoot
right?
live to tape. So I only edit if I fuck up.
Oh,
like if
that's great.
Say something or have to get it out. I shoot it live I have buttons I press and it's all, I just realized people didn't care for it to be like tight. They just wanted 15 minutes at a time of me, and I just make sure I try to keep it interesting.
That's so much better.
Yeah.
Just talking to you is making me miss watching The Bachelor. I watched every season from season 1 with my mom, and we talk about it. It was such a bonding thing, and then we just got so annoyed with it.
Yeah, well, the thing with The Bachelor, it's just a show where you get to watch people bang in a yurt or whatever. You know what I mean? So it just...
Did you say a yurt?
I always say a yurt. They're always like, for this fantasy, there's always one fantasy suite where like, it's like, the Four Seasons penthouse suite. And the next one's like, we got a bungalow by the river. And they're just like batting mosquitoes out. It's like, did I just get West Nile or HPV? Like, you know? But the show, like a lot of my audience doesn't watch the show because it's just like, I'll lead with the topic, but the topic's more social issues or having fun with, dating, relationships, whatever. So the podcast that I just started is like, extra content that's separate from the YouTube, where I'm just going to try to pull people closer to my personality and away from just the news, because I feel like with the internet, you have information and entertainment. So people might join your podcast for information, and they might stay because they like you, and that's entertainment. And obviously, as a comic, you want people to stay, but you got to hook them somehow. You just got to, that's the hard part, is trying to hook these crazy people.
Did you say the name of your podcast?
Bachelor Rush Hour.
Okay, well, and everything below.
Yeah, and eventually I'm just going to call it probably the Rush Hour, and just because I'm going to move it away from that. But until then, that's just, I wasn't going to make one because the YouTube channel has been doing so great, but it's just an added like half an hour of work a day. I do it daily. So it's every afternoon, like it's going to go live while we're taping this every afternoon for people that are on their drive home. They can listen to it regardless of if there's news or not. I'm just going to talk to you. And since it's direct to camera, I feel like, or direct to microphone, I feel like it's kind of like personal that way. But these conversations are great for the audience because they get to zone out and just hear, like, you know what I mean? Like, they can zone out and hear where we go and trust it's going to go somewhere interesting.
I was so worried before I started. I was like, why wouldn't anyone want to listen to it? And I never really actually listened to podcasts. And then I got into Tiger Belly. And I was like, wow, it's so comforting just listening to these two people talk. Like I'm cooking. I like to do I'm cooking or just
you bring it into very personal times. Like you're doing chores. I always tell my audience, I always talk to them as if they're breastfeeding because it's 90% women, and I feel like breastfeeding is one of those things where you don't have much to do. So if I'm ever like, all right, who's out there breastfeeding? Come on, give it a pump. I'll get 15 messages. How did you know? It's like, well, statistically, if 50,000 people are listening, there's a lot of people latched and loaded. Are these terms
so
is latched and loaded? Hey, let's do a podcast where we breastfeed, just called Latched and Loaded.
Yeah, that would be awesome if there's just two moms just going at it.
I can't be there.
No, but your nipples can be.
Yeah, I think they're lactating right now. I'm killing on stage when I'm lactating. Is he milking?
Imagine? Oh God! I mean, lately all the female comics who are having babies, they're badass, and they're like, "I had my baby yesterday," and they're up there and just going.
I mean, selfishly, I've always been attracted to pregnant. I always think pregnant women. There's something about this may sound creepy to say, but like just knowing like it's all so like primal when someone's pregnant. Like there was someone, she actually ran a comedy club and she just gave birth yesterday, and she like her everything, like the hormones were going and all the curves and her face and I know it sounds so creepy to say, but like I think it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful when
I think it is too.
Like Tasha, my wife, I think is going to be a beautiful pregnant lady.
Oh, his wife is the most gorgeous female in the world.
I think she's gonna do well.
Yeah.
And I think she's gonna make my life miserable. I'm gonna get Postmates, Uber Eats, I'm gonna get like them on buttons. Hit the button and tell them what you want.
That's good.
Just get it. just I don't want to live the life. Like I grew up single mom, whatever, it was fine. She was great, but she provided, no child support. She provided. She left my dad when she was pregnant, which I don't talk about this because I think an audience gets more bummed out than the situation. I wasn't raised with him. I met him when I was 20. So there isn't this 20 years of dad left when I was 3. It was never a thing. So when I talk about it casually, I think people come from a place of like, oh, is this like a weird dead dad thing? It's like, yeah, but not really, But my mom, I don't want to have, if we have a kid, I want to hire an assistant who can help out in the kitchen. I want to do things that make parenting less stressful. And I see people shame others for that. There was another Bachelor story I made today where there was someone who was on The Bachelor. She's done well for herself as an influencer. She's hired a nanny 3 nights a week to just be on night shift for the kid.
I've thought about that already, and I'm not even close to having kids.
People go, how dare you? This is this, that. And you go, she needs to do her job. She's a CEO of her own company. She needs, so like if you can afford to spend, $250, $300 a night for 3 nights and you get sleep, then then you're not just like mad at your child in the morning. It's like, are we just trying to pass trauma down because it's what the good old boys did?
Yeah.
So I think tribally we existed in a world where if we were in the same community and you were just like having a moment, I'd grab your kid. Okay, let's go for a walk. Or not, grab your kid, but
run.
You just pass the kid around. It's like I'll milk the kid or whatever. Burp him. He's like eating twice as fast on these suckers. But so that's funny. How it was communal. And now and then through the nuclear system, dad's away at work, mom's, getting, postpartum psychosis. I mean, this stuff exists. I had a family member get postpartum psychosis and it can end in horrible tragedy. And we go, oh, that mom's the worst. No, she was in a psychotic break and she needed help and she wasn't getting it. And postpartum depression, all these other things exist. And you go, let's find a way to not have that. I mean, it can still happen, but like, let's put ourselves in an environment where, you hate to cue the bashing of the system that's set up, but like we're a first world country. We don't have paid maternity leave, paid paternity leave. We're so worried about the X's and O's of like capitalism. Like my mom had to go back to work a couple of weeks after me. That's heartbreaking. She didn't want to do that.
Yeah, that would be awful.
She had to. Heartbreaking. So anyway, that I don't want to have to like let's cut the barrier to that. And not to mention I work from home. I'll put the baby Bjorn on. I'll literally donate. I got the baby Bjorn. I'm making videos. The kids sleeping. I'm like, affiliate sales for their hoodie. I don't know.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you'll be a really good dad.
Well, we'll see. I don't know. but I do imagine like if I did have daughters, because if I had boys, I know like, yeah, if they're into soccer, I wasn't a soccer kid, but if they were into soccer, I want to pursue that. I was a baseball guy, football, but whatever it is, I just want them to be good at and love and really have a passion for what they do.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hard part is like, I think the biggest, if I had a kid who didn't have work ethic, not just for work ethic's sake, but didn't have a desire to pursue something that they loved, I would feel like a failure.
I always say how grateful I am to have a passion and a drive.
Yeah.
You see many people who don't.
You would have been out of it by now. You're not going to last this long doing what we do unless you're like, how did they find success? How can I find a version of that? How can I adapt to the times? And you have to kind of like articulate all these thoughts. It can come off very spiritual when you're like, yeah, you need a vision. You need to say it. You need to.
Sorry, the driver.
Yeah, we're a dump truck. What's the metaphor for the dump truck right now? Changing. This is Los Angeles for you.
It's so loud. I know, but I can't like broke. Damn it! I know you had it too. You were holding strong.
No, I'm good.
You were a pro, and I fucked it up.
I've literally had to make a video the other day where my dog was shitting on my treadmill. I got an old dog and he's shitting everywhere.
No.
And like you could see the smell, like how cartoons, the smell will like tear up in their eyes. You could see the dog shit in my eyes, and I was just like, but I was like 80
live.
Yeah, and I was like 80% done with the video, and I was like, I'm not reshooting this. The dog's taking a shit.
All right, that's so funny. I think it's done.
So what would you say is the general like center of your podcast? Is it tragedy?
Yeah, just making miserable / embarrassing moments into jokes.
Do you get embarrassed still?
It's definitely gotten better. I feel like me becoming a stand-up has the beginning, back to the beginning, was me always being an embarrassed young kid. Like getting just easily embarrassed, like turning red, someone talking about a movie and I'd be too embarrassed to say I don't know it.
Oh, yeah.
Like all of those things that meant nothing.
You ever just agree with somebody and you're like, I haven't seen the Green Mile? You're like, remember when the guy, you're like, yeah,
oh, it's wild.
I'll still do that. I'll have the path of least resistance if I'm just like trying to like glaze over a comment. Like, remember in Goodfellas? You know what? I hate it when people say remember in whatever and they assume.
Yeah.
Remember in Point Break? It's like, how are you going to assume I know Point Break?
Right?
Remember in Meet the Parent, and maybe you do, but you're just like the assumptions that you're making that I know these movies. I grew up, like I said, with a single mom. We didn't listen to music.
Really?
No music.
Why?
So I had
Do you know why?
Amy Grant was like a Christian musician.
Okay.
I feel like we had one Amy Grant cassette. It was just a quiet household. I think my mom was probably on the like lightly depressed side. Like it wasn't a happy childhood. My sister, we're good now, but she wasn't really happy. And it was a lot of quietness. There wasn't much playfulness. When my mom remarried, my stepdad, very charismatic. And I was like 10 or 11. I was like, I want to be like that. Mm-hmm. That guy knows how to bring happiness into a thing where so anyway, I don't have any pop culture references from the first 10 years of my life. When everyone's like, remember this, like early Green Day? No.
Did you say Green Day?
Yeah.
Do you know I'm obsessed with Green Day? I mean, I've been better. I'm an adult now.
It's good music. I've had to just find it as an adult.
Yeah. I was my room in high school, my mom's room after my parents got divorced. I was a green wall, black wall, and checkered floor, Green Day posters everywhere, just obsessed with Billie Joe Armstrong. It was a problem.
If I need to go on a run and then I put like some Green Day, or I'll put like some like early 2000s music on, just like old school hip hop, or like the Green Day or like Blink 182. Mm-hmm. I'm running up a hill. I'm just like burning twice as many calories. Like I didn't realize I just needed emotional men with mascara to get me going.
Oh, so you started listening to this music later?
I got my first Walkman when I was pretty young, probably like 9 or 10, and it was it wasn't the yellow kind. That was the sporty one. That was like the nice one. That was like the $25 one. This was like the $18 gray one that didn't have the anti-skip technology and all that shit. I got that, and I got Mariah Carey's Fantasy. The song, but do you know Fantasy?
Sure.
Oh, New York, and it's featuring ODB. So she's like, oh, New York in the house. Is Brooklyn in the house?
I don't think maybe I don't.
Anyway, baby, come on, baby, come on. Oh, when you walk right every night, talking sweet and looking fine, I get someone to you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I know that one now.
I got that one song. On one side, it was the Fantasy not remix, just the classical version. And on the other side, it was the rapper. And I went to visit my family in Texas. Oklahoma. And my mom put me on a flight. I flew by myself. You could do this in the 90s. You could just fly by yourself.
How old are you?
9 or 10.
Oh my God.
Maybe 8 or 9. Yeah.
Very young.
Young. And on that flight, I shit you not, 3 hours, I listened to that song. Over the old school earphones were like the ones that like went over your ears, but small.
Little, yeah.
So the sound just bounced off your head to the. So like even though you're like in this the white noise of being in the air, it's just walk around every night, turn it, sing it again, and it made that sound when you hit play. That you know what I mean? Like all these like the like mechanical sounds that a Walkman would make, and then but in hindsight I go, oh, I was like a middle seat too. They hated me. I'm 9 and I'm just drinking Coke and playing Mariah Carey. And I've never.
What were they thinking?
Yeah. So I never got another cassette. So that was it. So when you guys, how do you not know more music? Mariah Carey, baby. I got one song.
How nostalgic is it now when you hear that song?
Oh, yeah.
It's gotta be.
We go for it. Yo, Brooklyn and uptown. Oh, come on. That song is great. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. And my mom was very much like, she's very spiritual, but she would like, anything that resembled witchcraft, she was like, no, because she was like Catholic too. So like anything that was like, I don't know, like a witch, like a vampire movie, no. We couldn't watch The Simpsons. And when my stepdad came into the picture, he immediately was like, no, they can watch The Simpsons. And that
Save
was
the day.
Yeah, he came in, he was like, no, we're done here. Like it's a new management.
Yeah, here's your fangs.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, thank you. I get to watch The Simpsons. And so I had this thought, like I didn't swear for the longest time. I was kind of straight edge in a lot of ways. And then I just got to the place where like my morality is there for certain things, but like I'll steal from something if I don't think it matters. Like if there's a, I was thinking this the other day, if I'm at an audition somewhere and they're shooting a movie in the same venue and there's a bunch of sandwiches lined up, I'm taking a sandwich.
Yeah, that's not going to hurt anybody.
The actor tax. I'm taking a sandwich and I'm going to go eat it.
I'm just picturing this poor guy like,
where's my sandwich?
Yeah, we're one sandwich.
He's like, if I don't get this sandwich, I'm going to kill myself tonight. And I'm like, I don't even like pastrami. Just throwing it out the window. But you're stealing, you're just like taking from something that like they don't even care in those scenarios. But like if I will put the shopping cart in the thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care if it's Walmart owned by $1 billion corporation. I'm putting the shopping cart. There's just certain things that I'm very morally like aware of, and others that I'm like, take the thing. Who cares? They, steal from your company. They don't pay you enough. Like,
I feel like I'm the same with that.
Yeah.
I'll put the shopping cart back, but
my wife gets so freaked out if I bring edibles on a flight, and I go, you know what? Arrest me for 4 edibles. In a country that it's legal in one state but not the other. I would love the headline of getting arrested in Texas. Now, I'm not going to go to Thailand because they're fucking nuts with their weed and stuff like that. But like, so for me, she'll get all stressed out. And I'm like, you need an edible. I think.
I know we can fix this.
Yeah, so literally, that's why I gained 10 pounds. I was just eating cookies and edibles the whole flight. But yeah. So anyway, you just certain things are lawful and some aren't. Like, I'm not going to get nabbed for a DUI, but I also think the laws, that's a normal one. That's probably a bad example, but there's certain laws that suck. There's this like theory that if they wanted to, that you could get 5 felonies a day, right? They were just like, everything you do is illegal if someone wants to find you for it, Okay. And so it's just like, all right, look, so you threw a few extra miles on your tax returns, whatever, I don't know. I shouldn't say that. Don't audit me.
Don't audit me either.
I finally, last year, I was finally like, I need to get an accountant. I was like, all right, we're making some YouTube money.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, you definitely need to have one. Did you make an LLC and everything?
Yeah. Dave Neal Enterprises,
wow,
baby. Let's
that's
do
so
it.
Exciting.
Yeah, I got some good advice and put myself on salary. And I'm like, my boss does not pay me enough. But I'm like, look, you want to pay your taxes, but like you don't want to get completely hosed. I think we should have a basic 15% tax everyone pays, because there's too many people that are smart enough that pay nothing, and I paid a lot of money in taxes. I paid more than Donald Trump in taxes, right? And like that doesn't make it political. It's like he knows how to offshore money in Dublin and St. Martin and all these places. And it's like, okay, well, I just don't want to get audited, but because I can't afford to get audited, but I also, you know what I mean? So I think most people in society, I think we'd benefit from, it's just too many fucking loopholes for these like mega wealthy that we're all here bitching about like this and that. And it's like, there's trillions of dollars that are not being taken out of Amazon and all that. And they go, well, they're just going to jack up the prices on the goods. Good. Jack up the prices. Yeah. Then you'll go out of business because someone else can do it better who actually pays their employees. Like, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, there's this whole feeling, well, they're just going to jack the prices up. Like, ugh. So we're just okay with people pissing in bottles as they deliver our food.
Exactly. That made me think. I just watched it. Now I'm blanking on the name on Netflix, a documentary about the Wall Street dude.
Madoff?
Oh, yeah. Did you watch it yet?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Genius. What? And a psychotic, but yeah, just... He was a people pleaser.
Yes.
So obviously it was the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time, but it's like, they didn't really get into like, what was the first one? Were you trying to have a better than 8% return? And so you fudged it and they were like, this guy's great. And they bring it up and you're like, okay. And you start lying and you see this sad old guy died, right? Yeah, died. Spoiler, he's dead. I think one of his sons probably jumped off a building. I mean,
did he?
Oh, you can't, the Madoff name's ruined, obviously, but
I know
all
the 2 sons were completely screwed.
I mean, you had people like the Mets had millions of dollars. They lost it all. Kevin Bacon has to do TV shows now. He had all of his money with Bernie Madoff. It's like because of Bernie Madoff, Kevin Bacon had to make like, Footloose remixes, whatever. Maybe not Footloose, but you know what I mean? Like he's married to Kara Schedwick.
Schedwick,
who's been on probably Law and Order for 50 years, whatever show she's on. But like, yeah, their life savings was wiped away, and I think people have a hard time empathizing with people that like lost money in crypto and this. But it's like they're the good guys that lost money. There's corporate greed and all that, but like a lot of people were operating just with the best intentions.
Yeah. A lot of people. Yeah. It was very sad. And it blew my mind that he would have never gotten caught if it wasn't for the crash of the house, God, I always sound so stupid on here.
I know nothing about this, but you're right. In 08, the housing market bubble and all that. But I mean, eventually, like in today's recession, whatever this is, people would have wanted to pull their money out. You're about to retire. Hey, give me my money. And he's like, well, let's wait a few years. And you're like, give me it now. I mean,
yeah, I'm ready for it.
It only takes a few of those people to burst the bubble. And then he's like, I mean, he was down to like his last $30 million, but $100 million of people wanted to pull their money out. And it's like, can you imagine me like, who's got 70 million laying? I mean, I don't know how he lasted emotionally as long as he did. I mean, there must be some sort of psychotic ability to break from the pain you're causing others to do that. Because he had that one floor in the building that was like, where all the
17th floor.
17th floor. Look at you. Like, I don't know anything. It was the 17th floor. They're smoking cigarettes. They dim lighting.
Yeah, they made it all dark in the documentary.
They're just watching porn and ripping people off. You're like, it's like, really? Was the lighting different on the 17th floor? Really? But it was just a handful of people creating and fluffing up all of these notes. And it was one of those like, well, don't ask Bernie about his ways or else you're going to lose. And everyone's like, okay, yeah, they had the soup Nazi reference. It was a perfect example. Like,
the craziest thing is I watched that episode the day before of the soup Nazi and I was like, ah!
Dude, soup Nazi wouldn't get made today.
Do you know that's a real guy?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Based off a real guy.
Yeah.
None of those, a lot of those, I obsessed with Seinfeld, but most of those episodes wouldn't.
No, Seinfeld and I mean, Curb Your Enthusiasm still goes because he's kind of grandfathered in. But all these shows, and again, it's not like a cancel culture thing. People get so defensive when you look at it. But as comedians, you look at this and you go, I think who's the comic with the mustache who hosts all the game shows?
Oh,
Steve Harvey.
Yeah.
So Steve Harvey said it brilliantly. He was like, the only people that can truly be comics are the ones that work with subscription models. So you're talking about Dave Chappelle, anyone who does a Netflix special. You can't write to Dove and be like, stop sponsoring Netflix because there's too many, it's subscription based, just like Spotify. But if you fuck up and you're on NBC, you make one mistake and you're on NBC, we can make phone calls and end you. And it can be just a tiny, and I've seen this firsthand. My friend, I did a stand-up show in Vegas. And I negotiated the price, good money. I got my buddy to do the show with me. And he didn't break the contract, but he made one lady walk out crying. Turns out she was like the head of like the woke department or whatever.
Literally the head of the woke department.
HOW, head of woke. It was literally called like, the head of, adversity, whatever. And he made a joke about himself. He's Jay Hollingsworth, tall, big guy. And he makes a joke about being fat. And if he lost weight, he might be ugly. He doesn't want to be ugly, skinny. He's fat, good looking. That was his. She left crying. Everyone, hundreds of people loved the joke. He said the F word a few times, but they didn't say we couldn't swear. And anyways, after that, they're like, look, they immediately got on their Slack line and everyone went from high-fiving us and wanting photos with us to like, oh boy. Because one lady was like, who booked them? What? Blah, blah, blah. And she got him fired. We hadn't been paid yet. So his pay was $1,000. I, out of principle, still paid him. Because this was one of those things I'm like, I'm going to pay him. I hired him. I negotiated more money for me, so I still made some money, whatever. But I had to pay him $1,000 because a $1 billion company, weren't going to pay. And I was like, look, why don't you give me $1,000? Don't pay him. Give me an extra $1,000 for travel. We'll call it a good day. They're like, yeah, we're not going to do that. And I was like, oh boy, fuck. So I signed the NDA and I took the money. But people don't realize that. They just think. Like, obviously, Bill Cosby, some of these bigger, Weinstein, those cancellations are appropriate. So cancel culture isn't necessarily bad. It's good that the audience can decide what they want and don't want. The problem is corporations are so gun shy, a small portion of an audience will decide for the rest of people, and then they'll make those decisions rationally. And you look at Congressman, I'm going to forget his name, Franken? Franken?
I don't know.
I think of Franken, right? Al Franken.
Oh,
so Al Franken on SNL, stand-up comedian, very funny. He, I think, was a senator, right, in Minnesota. I could have and he does that photo where he goes like that, right? You can take a still right now. And then, no, don't get me wrong. It wasn't right. Yeah. They were on a USO tour. And so for those just listening, he put his hands, hovered them over a female, maybe a journalist or whatever. They were on the tour together, hovered them over like, hey, I'm touching her boobs. Not right. Not right at all. But he's actually one of the better voices fighting for a lot of good causes. And in hindsight, just about every scholar who talks about it says, we wish the Democratic Party would have stuck by him. and not just fired him. Now he's back doing stand-up. I think he's hosting The Daily Show as one of the guest hosts.
That's great.
He's like a Bill Maher type guy who's got a Jon Stewart level smart guy, and you need those types of people that are really smart and really funny that can bridge the gaps of like, that can really speak truth to power. So because of this one photo that came out, and you go, look, that's cancel culture. And that doesn't necessarily lead to the progress that we all want. Because in the end, we should all want our kids to be better versions of us, and we should all want the world to be a happier place. But it doesn't always do that when it goes too far. And yet, I, in this moment, am careful with my words because someone could crop this up and we go, Dave's anti-cancel culture, he's this. And you go, you're just not having the conversation we're trying to have.
Yeah.
They're
not listening to anything you're saying
and
also.
I get that people get annoyed when comics talk about it all the time, but I think you can talk about it in a way that lets people know that cancel culture exists in a minute way. I mean, it cost me $1,000 because some lady was triggered by jokes told on a stage in Las Vegas where we were hired to perform. Sure, it was 10 a.m. Maybe she hadn't had her morning coffee. I get it. But he had a great set. But it just goes to show we've almost gotten too good at learning where we can cut people at their knees. And if they just asked him to apologize, he would have been like, I'm sorry, it was my intention. He just was having a good set and he got a little hot and pushed it past the PG-13. But like, really, is it worth $1,000? Anyway, so it does exist.
Yeah.
And they go, it's not cancel culture, it's consequences. And you go, listen, in an HR department in a corporation, there's usually like a 3-strike process. Here's your written notice, and we've gone straight to termination on all these different levels. Is Al Franken really deserve to be terminated?
Because of this?
Yeah. I mean, who was offended by that? And he's imitating sexual assault. And you go, this is almost insulting to the people that are actual predators out there.
Right?
Now, and if they show that and then there was 15 other examples of him abusing his power, that's something else. And we've seen that in comedy where you show a comic doing one bad thing and it opens the woodworks for all these other things. That's good to expose, but you get it wrong sometimes. And then in hindsight, it's like this, not to be like hyperbolic, he could have been a president. He was like,
be so cool. That would have been so cool.
These guys, just like Jon Stewart could. Jon Stewart goes into Congress and says, you guys are all idiots. We've got military that aren't receiving the coverage, 9/11, first responders. He's done more for the country than almost every politician that's out there. And if Jon Stewart was on a debate stage, if Al Franken was on a debate stage, these comics that actually know what they're talking about would just destroy these other sort of lifetime politicians.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it, but they're smart and they know it's not worth doing.
They're going to make less money.
Yeah.
Age really poorly.
Yeah.
Security with them the rest of their lives.
But it's like, so that's the world we live in where there are people who are saying what they feel and owning it. And then there are people that aren't. And most people, just like when everyone got on that Slack during that stand-up show, as soon as someone was complaining, the lawyer who FaceTimed me to decide that, whatever, they were like, I think we can all assume that, agree that this was across the line. It's like, I'm not going to agree to that. I'm going to not fight this because I can't afford to, but let's not all put on the theater and pretend like we all feel the same about this. And it used to be, if you were sort of triggered by something, that's work you have to do on yourself. If an ice cream truck goes down the road and I'm triggered because, ice cream truck ran my dog over, I got to work on that. I can't get rid of all ice cream trucks.
Yeah.
You got to use the trigger as an example to understand you've got an issue you need to overcome because you cannot control the environment.
But people don't like working on themselves, and that's where the problem is.
There you go.
So, if you want to, we're sponsored by BetterHelp.
I tried to get therapy. I tried to get it last year, and they were like $200 an hour. And
Isn't it crazy?
I was like, no, I'll do a podcast. I'll talk. We're lucky we can have conversations. It's probably almost as good as therapy, but like the pain of pissing your money away at that level.
It's insane. I started over, I think a little before the quarantine. And she gave me a really low rate, way lower than her normal rate. Cause I was like, I can't. And I only was able to do it once a month instead of every week. And then I did it for probably a year.
What did you learn?
I learned so much. She just gives you tools. And I got like a good one where they're not trying to dig up issues. You go in with what you want to work with. And then she just tells you how to fix it. You fix it. And then I just went for the first time just to check in. And she's like, it's been a year since I've seen you. I'm like, you've just learned enough. And you kind of like, I can handle this myself now.
And then maybe you'll unearth something somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
Did it help your relationship? Like, was it something that had to do with how you communicate, or was it just you?
Oh, everything. Like, I have a fear of speaking my mind. I don't like confrontation.
Is it like a codependency thing? Like you'll just.
No, I just get uncomfortable just with any confrontation.
Yeah.
Because I come from a very happy family. Like, my parents divorced. I don't even remember them fighting.
Yeah.
Like, it's like.
Were they sweeping? Was there sweeping stuff under the rug, or like do you?
I just think they handled things. They handled everything very maturely.
So now, if you have something going on, do you just label it like we need time to talk? You know, like how do you approach that, knowing your sort of baseline is to not have the hard conversation?
It's still hard for me.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I have to learn to create space and be like, I need like 10 minutes. Like I need to create the space so I feel like I'm not rushing it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I need to focus and, you're like, as a people pleaser, you're just like, all right, whatever you need. And you just become some giving tree.
Yeah. Like I've had some, I don't even want to say this on the pod, but like people reach out for the pod and I don't know, like how do you say no?
Yeah. That's a tough one.
How do you say no?
I'm more willing to burn my phone. This guy reached out because I don't even do guests, and he was like, "Hey, he's a dating coach and he's a comedian, and he's like, hey, never really met him before, and he's like, hey, I'd love to do your show sometime, whatever." And I didn't respond on Instagram because I've gotten to the point now where I get so many DMs from so many people. I'm learning my boundary of saying I don't have to respond to you. Yes. I just take pride in responding. I would never get anything creative done if I responded to everybody. You have to like set your boundaries, whatever. And people send gifts, and Tasha's like, you need to write thank you cards, and like I can't. Like if they want to send me a gift, that's their charity, and I appreciate it. I sound horrible saying this, but it's it's literally, you can only do it to an extent. I used to write thank you notes to everyone on Patreon. It's too much. I can't do it now. I won't be able to do what I'm supposed to do if I give everyone individual attention. And people will get mad at that. And I go, look, if I have 50,000 people watching me, that's being like Yankee Stadium. And then one person in section 7, seat 15 is upset. Dave, you've changed. You used to talk to all of us. And I go, I can't fucking talk to. But I get so sad. I get so sad because I go, I wish I could, but this is success means I have to not be available to everybody. And you just have to learn these boundaries that are hard to find. But I don't even know where I was starting with this, but like it just, so when the guy, I didn't respond to him, and then he goes, all right then. And I was like, now you made it weird. And I had to see him again, and I never addressed it. And we have since become like decent friends, but it had to like get far enough away where like, I still hope he doesn't think I saw that. And I should have been like, hey bud, I don't really do it. My buddy Ben, who I used to live with, improviser. Oh, watch out! Good friend of mine. We were at the resort where we got married, and they're really big on upselling people on taking photos. They're like, "Oh, we'll take your photo," but then they want to like bring you off for 20 minutes to a photo shoot and have you pay for the photos. It's a whole thing. And we're sitting by the edge of the thing, and the lady goes up to him, "Hey, I'd like to take your photo." He goes, "No, thanks." And she goes, "Sure, you'd be cute. You want to do it?" And he goes, "No." And I looked at him and go, "God damn, I wish I could do that."
Exactly.
This lady asked me the day earlier, I would like to take your photo. I was like, well, my lady's got the cramps and we're doing this and I'm gay.
That's exactly like when someone will be like, will you sign this petition or something like that? I'm like, oh, you have to fake the phone call or
because I'm going, something. She's working on commission. So I agreed to do the photo shoot and they're like, all right, we'll schedule it for the first thing in the morning. And Tasha looks at me like, the hell's the matter with you? And I was like, I'll cancel it later.
I'll do that too. I will, even over the phone, I will say yes to something, call them to cancel it, and instead of canceling it, rescheduling it because I'm too scared. I feel too bad canceling it. When they don't know who I am, now I just have to call back again. What?
And the fear of people being like, Mandy Martino is an asshole. She wouldn't do, and it's like, I used to, when I had my old podcast and I'd reach out to people and they'd be like, I don't have the time. And I'd be like so mad at them. And I get it now. I don't do a lot of people's podcasts because I'll be like, all right, I'll look at it and be like, oh, come on. I get, I'm creating content on my side. I don't need but then obviously with things like this, the benefit for me is a conversation with someone I like and talking about fun things. Like that's good. But like someone, I shit you not, a female comedian. God bless her. If she's listening, we're friends, but I think she's mad at me. But she goes, I'm not kidding. She goes, will you do my radio show in Palm Springs, California?
Oh, fuck no.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is 2 hours, 3 hours east. She goes, it doesn't pay, but we get X amount of followers, and I'm thinking I'm getting 50,000 followers a day. Like I'm baked in. I will not get one person out of this. And part of me was like, yeah, I'll be there at 7, but I was like, but then the other part of me was insulted. I was like, Bethany, that's not her name. But I was like, I'm shocked that you get people to do this. And it might be because like they might be, I don't know. I'm shocked people. I was like, I don't even want to Skype in because I hate the Skype podcast. I hate to do them because
awkward.
It takes away the real connection of like laughing and stuff. And if we're not, it's like we're here to play in a sandbox and build connections and have real human moments and hope that the audience can like sort of just latch onto that, hang glide with us as we go there.
Yeah.
In this Zoom, it's like, yeah, it's better than nothing during the pandemic, but like, let's not make that the norm.
It's done.
Yeah, it's done.
We don't need that.
And I don't go to Palm Springs for your radio show. Put me up in a hotel and,
They'd probably still say no.
What are we doing? I had to go, honey, look at this. I'd like, can you imagine this? I'm not coming at it like I'm some hot shot. I'm like, can you imagine this? It's not about the money. It's about the gall. I would never. If I wanted you on my podcast, I'd be like, hi, Mandy, I'm a piece of shit human, but please, would you do it? Like, I'm so guilty.
I feel the same. Oh God, I've had people ask me to do their podcast. And as someone begging people to do mine, I'm like, I'm still like, I have gotten better. I'm like, I know. I can't.
And look, it's always good to work on the craft and the art. Yeah, there really is an art to the conversation, the ebbs and flows and all that jazz that no one cares about. It's good to work on that. But like, if you only have X amount of free time a week, like for me, I work from home. I get real just like sick of being home. Sometimes the other day, my wife and I were kind of having like not a tiff, but like she needed her quiet time. I drove to Melrose. It was 20 minutes. I live 20 minutes east of there. I drove there, parked my car, and walked 1.5 miles down Melrose and 1.5 miles back. I was like, I probably look like a psychopath.
Or you like?
Let me tell you something. I probably mean mugged it. It was one of the happiest moments of the week for me. I put my ear pods in. I listened to some podcasts, and then for like 10 minutes, I like put Spotify like inspirational instrumental, and I did like mantras. You are enough. I needed that connection. I don't get when I'm at home, picking up dog shit.
Yeah.
During the day.
You don't get that picking up
and so
shit.
and I think my wife's got the opposite where she's introverted and she has to go out to work. So it's kind of hard, but she knows like sometimes I just got to go out there and get some fucking alone time. So some lady, I had a show in the Valley. I hope she's not listening to your podcast. Some show in the Valley, and there was the producer of the show. No, the show was in Santa Clarita, so that's like almost an hour north. And the producer goes, are you going to be going through North Hollywood? Which basically all of LA goes through North Hollywood to get to Santa Clarita.
Oh, no. The dreaded question?
Well, yeah. Can you pick up this one comedian? She's like narcoleptic or something. Or does that mean she falls asleep? Yeah. Whatever. And I was like, and immediately I go, oh, I'm coming from my aunt's house in Westlake. We're going to be at Malibu. I just start creating this story.
I do that too.
But I could have said no, but the real truth was I wanted some alone time in my car.
I love alone time in my car.
Yeah.
It's my favorite alone time. Driving somewhere in my car.
Yeah, I wanna we don't in LA, you don't have as many of those sort of shower moments where you can like really have alone time. And even though I work from home, I'm creating 5 videos a day. I have my private Patreon where I'm literally interacting with other people all day long, and sometimes I just want to put on a couple of YouTube videos, just listen to some music, some Mariah Carey. What am I gonna do? So like I was like, I had to create this lie, and maybe that's a white lie that you do. Oh, sorry, bud, coming from the other way because I don't want to offend him. But it was like, I'm not in charge of delivering her to the show.
Yeah,
I don't need to meet somebody.
I started saying no to these things. This definitely helped in therapy. No to like big things like that. I'll still like if like the photo, I don't know, at the resort, I probably still would have said yes and canceled too. But no to stuff like that because the amount of anger it causes me in the moment. I had this breakdown where like a year ago, I made plans that I didn't want to do, to go to the beach with somebody. just a friend wanted to go to the beach on the weekend. I'm the same with you. I don't have.
You stuck it out for no reason.
I stuck it out. I was calling my mom, having a freaking panic attack on the way to pick them up. I was like, this is my free day. I want to be alone. I'm like, why did I say yes? And she was like, you've canceled already? That means you've got to go this time. Like, I try to do that. If I cancel once on someone, that's okay. I can't cancel twice. Yeah. Because I shouldn't have redone the thing. Then it's on me. Canceling twice, I feel like I fucked up. Suck it up, buttercup.
You know, I was telling Tasha that I was coming to podcast here, and she never remembers anybody till I give a story about them. She goes, who's Mandy? And I go, well, I was like, oh, she's the one. And because we've seen you a bunch, but we saw you at the beach during COVID.
Yeah.
Now, here I am. I'm on the beach standing up. My lady's tanning. And someone like waves and like, Dave. And I'm like, oh, I have a fan. I go, I'm being recognized. And I'm like, oh, and I go, oh, hey. And I go, oh, it's Mandy. And it was good to see you, but I was like, the high of it being a fan was higher than you. So I have to explain to her whatever it's someone. I'm like, no, this is Mandy. Remember she's this and they do this. And she goes, oh, yeah, Mandy.
Yeah.
But I get it. She's like, there's always so many random people.
I'd be the same way.
Yeah.
All right, wait. Before we finish, I want to, okay, well, so I like to talk about the stories that you haven't made into a joke. So was the mom thing something you haven't made into a joke yet?
I dabbled in the idea that she left my dad when she was pregnant versus him leaving. Like, how bad of a guy is he that she left him? Mm-hmm. Like, she was fully pregnant being like, I got this, you know? Like, I've dabbled in that idea and how he died. He was a Vietnam vet and how like hard of a life he had versus like our trivial problems. Like he died and had Agent Orange on his, you know what I mean? He had like Agent Orange is what they used to kill all the trees in Vietnam. Oh. It's an exfoliant. So it kills all the trees and is made by Monsanto, by the way. Monsanto makes all the pesticides and everything. Oh, so anyway, they make Agent Orange to kill all the trees so that we can then see where all the enemies are. And of course, it created mass amounts of death and dysfunction and cancers. So even though he died just under a decade ago, Agent Orange was listed on his death certificate. It's like, how do you make that funny? You know, but it was like the political idea that off, what is it? Weed, what's it? The weed, yeah, weed, like the weed, whatever it's called, grout, whatever.
I know what you're talking about.
The weed killer. You know, people are yelling it.
I know they are.
But the idea like that's what took down a Vietnam vet. But like, I don't know. And the fact that like our government, you know, I was like, is there something like a political message there? But it's very, you know, like, you know, he's a Vietnam vet and he was a good guy that had issues because he fought in a senseless war. Don't exactly have a bit there. But I tell you what, when I first went to his cemetery, you know, because I met him at 20 and I didn't really get to know him well, but I got to know all these other relatives through him. I went to his cemetery in Missouri and I bawled my eyes out because it's super emotional. It's this beautiful, like, national cemetery. And I come back to Fourth Wall and I just talk about it on stage and it crushed.
Oh, wow.
So I know there's this tension there and I would never, but maybe I don't know what the funny part is yet, but I do remember like the night I found out he died, I was in New York doing a stand-up show and like, yeah, I was still trying to get laid that night. Everyone's like, oh, we're so sorry. And I'm like, what's the blonde doing over there? But like, I just don't know what it is, but there's probably, and it's one of those things, like we do these short comedy sets here. It feels like an Edinburgh Fringe Festival hour-long story, you know? Mm-hmm. But my first pet was a hermit.
There's like bombs going
So
off.
my first pet was a hermit crab.
I had hermit crabs.
Did he really?
He changed the little shells.
Yeah, he died. Hermie.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And
It'd be weird if he was still alive.
My idea was this, like, what? Like, don't get a kid who didn't have a dad a hermit crab. Like hermits are literally reclusive. And like hermit crabs are the Vietnam vets of the crustacean family. You know what I mean?
So true.
And I go, oh, my mom didn't want to get me a hermit crab. She was a saleswoman, so she was just negotiating. I asked for a dog. She said hermit crab. I should have settled for like a marsupial, some hamster or some shit. Yeah.
I had a rat, a hamster. We had all the things.
Yeah. So, you know, the hermit crab died and she got me 3 more, you know, it's like, I was like, all right, we're done with hermit crabs, you know, like, but not exact, but it's like, yeah, that's not one of those things I really made into the most likable joke because I think it's heavy to be like, yeah, I didn't have a dad, you know, whatever, but it's my identity. So I'd like to talk more about it. maybe I just need to like, I don't know, get up there and eat shit on. Sometimes you just got to eat shit on stage and figure it out.
Just start journaling about it.
Yeah,
that'd be an easy way to find stuff. Just free write.
Yeah, and it's weird having like a super like conservative family from the Midwest now, because like we couldn't be different on so many ideological things, but they're good people. It's just like they get a different news than I get, and this and that, but they come. So I've always wondered, like, did he think, I met my son for the first time. He's an actor. What a fag. Like, you can only imagine what was going through his head. I tell you what, though, he was a good-looking guy, and he was charming, and obviously he was PTSD, and I can like sort of sympathize so much with the struggle where he didn't really maybe mature past when he was in the military. Like, that's all he knew. He had to go back to Vietnam, and he ended up marrying a Vietnamese woman. He had 5 wives at different times. My mom, I think, was third of 5. And I got to just see this guy who is very interesting because, he could never overcome all of his demons until his deathbed, until that last phone call. And it was very touching because everyone forgave him. I had siblings that were raised by their grandparents and not him. I have all these half siblings. I've met some came to the wedding, really good people. And I didn't know any of them until I was 20, and, or that they existed.
Wow.
So
do
I was
you
like,
look like any of them?
Well, here's the weird part is I do, but none of my siblings look like my dad as much as I do.
Wow.
Yeah. And when I was 19 or 20, when I first met him and I got to see his military photo from that age, it was like, put a mustache on me. I'm him.
No way.
Yeah, it was
I actually wore this jacket for
There
him.
you go. Thank you. Yep. Thank you for your service. Appreciate it. But yeah, I was like Agent, and I go Agent Orange, and I'm like, well, that's Trump's code name. I don't know. I'm just like thinking of stupid jokes to go along with. I'm like,
I mean, there's so much there. The 5 wives, and
there's a lot there.
There's a lot there, and I've been trying to work on more because I don't have any right now. My stuff, like my parents having a happy divorce, which in my eyes, I'm sure I know it wasn't, but just like you're being bad at communication, being bad at confrontation. I want to talk about these things more.
Yeah. I like the idea of a happy divorce being like, I look forward to my happy divorce.
That's funny.
Or like what was maybe possibly going on behind the scenes. You could always just ask either of your parents to like further, like sometimes your parents will just give you the joke, not knowing so, but just be like, oh yeah, your mom's like, no, he didn't do this, or dad's like, she wouldn't blow me, whatever, like it was like, oh, okay, there's a little more to it.
There was more than when you were 13 or
but
whatever.
you know what's wild is look at someone like Bert Kreischer, right? You familiar with Bert's jokes, right? So he writes The Machine. He wasn't even gonna it was just like a throwaway story. He goes, this isn't funny. And then Joe Rogan's like, no, this is funny. You got to do it. It bombs on stage. It bombs. Then he finally figures it out, 10, 15-minute long joke. Then it goes viral on Facebook. Then he goes from a club comic to a theater act to an arena act. Now The Machine, the movie, is going to be coming out on Memorial Day weekend.
Wow.
It's going to make $100 million. It's a big action movie. And all he needed was a friend to go, no, that's funny. It's interesting. Do it. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it was a pretty crazy story, but he would just wrote it off. No, because he came from the Dave Attell school of stand-up when Dave Attell's genius, but Dave Attell's like tight, quick jokes. And he's got a 10-minute story that's like, no, this doesn't fit in. And sometimes I think you need friends to be like, do this. Don't do that dumb shit you're doing. Like I'm talking about my aging dog now pissing and shitting all over the place.
Oh yeah, so we can do, you're making that into a
joke?
So let's make that as your one that that's a miserable moment or a silly moment that you're making into a joke.
Okay, so he had he needed emergency surgery. This isn't the bit, but this is what happened. He needed emergency surgery last year, and it was midnight, Friday night. Smoked some weed, just ready to go to bed, and then and Tasha's kind of like sort of a hypochondriac. She says like, I feel like this is wrong, whatever. She's like, I think the dog's wrong. And he's like antsy or whatever. And I go, come on, what are you talking about?
Oh no.
Hours earlier. And he, at the time, he's 11 years old. This was 2 years ago. Hours earlier, I had fed him homemade salmon, rice, and sweet potatoes because we don't have a child. So we take care of our dog. But I fed him that because he was having patches on his skin. So I was like, I'll give him some homemade food. It's actually cheaper. You buy the frozen salmon and all that, mash it together. He goes nuts for it. He like swallows it. Oh, so good, so good. A couple hours later, he's like, I gotta go outside. If we take him outside, nothing. He tries to pee, he tries to poo. He does all the things he normally does, nothing's happening. Then Tasha notices he's got this distended belly coming out one side. She goes, I think he's got bloat. Now, bloat is when your stomach flips, and it is it is like almost like a stroke is a blockage in your brain. This is a blockage in the stomach.
Oh,
your stomach has flipped and you are going to die. The stomach is not getting oxygen, all these things. And so we called midnight. And again, I'm trying to convince her I'm like, he's not blown, whatever. So we call the vet and they're like, he's probably got bloat and he's probably needs to go to a vet right away, but we can't take him. And we're in east of downtown, and that was Pasadena. Like, we can't take him. We're too big. We called another vet. We've got a dog in the emergency room. We can't take him. You got to go to a vet. We call the metropolitan, vet, whatever, of West Hollywood. And I go, this is going to be expensive. West Hollywood is an expensive place for a dog. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Like East LA, they would have shot the dog. Dog's dead. He's gone. But West Hollywood's that's like the epicenter. That's like the Dubai of dogs because everyone's got a little puppy and fur ball, whatever.
Isn't there a movie Hollywood Chihuahua or something like that?
They go, bring him in right now. We had to carry him. I mean, you couldn't even get him, carry him in. He's crying the whole time. Tasha's beyond herself. She's had this dog since a puppy. I got emotional thinking about it. It was like so moving. We bring him in. It's COVID rules. We couldn't even go in with him. We don't know what's going on. We had to wait in our car. They go, he's got bloat. He needs life-changing surgery right now. We can't even guarantee, but because it's expensive and it's a dog who's over 10 years old, they go, what do you want to do? Like, what are you going to do with it? And it's like, I'm like, are we going to keep this thing? But like my general thought immediately was like, we've had a good year. Whatever it costs. And Tasha's like, this is going to be like $4,000. I'm like, honey, it's going to be a lot more than that. They come back at like 12. They're like, it's going to be $12,000. I was like, take my Amex. I got points. Like,
oh my God.
Yeah. And it ended up. So anyway, they have to get a vet. And when I tell the story on stage, whenever I mention how much money it was, I lose the crowd. Money's so weird with audiences because I think crowds are like, what? It just becomes, people start thinking about money. So maybe I don't mention that part. I don't know.
Or maybe just say $6,000. Maybe just
it's
a lot, but less than $12,000.
But so they have to wake the vet up. They have to wake a guy up and get him there. So I was like, this is fucking expensive. Cut his stomach open. And then they were like, you got to go home and we'll let you know how it goes. And it's like, the percentages are hard to tell. The next morning, 2 a.m. I mean, so I say next morning, hours later, we tried to get some sleep. God knows if she did. They said we did the surgery. We had to remove his I don't know, whatever, some little thing that he farts a lot now. He doesn't have this, whatever the thing that stops a dog from farting is gone. He's got a full blown muffler out. He's like one of those so that's 3 a.m. We go, that's the best news we could have gotten, but it's not even remotely like he's going to survive yet. And 6 a.m., another phone call. We got our money's worth. I mean, they give us all the updates. Hey, we did the surgery. We this and that. It didn't look like it was flipped for too long. And this and I go, honey, and this is summertime 2 years ago. I go, we got to go to the beach. We're not going to be sitting at home waiting for the phone call. We're going to wait for the phone call at the beach, but we got to go, not drive ourselves crazy. Every phone call we got, oh my gosh, he's making a great recovery. He's up. He peed on himself, all these things. And then that was so Friday night, bring him in. Saturday morning, we just got better and better news, but you never know. You still don't know. And then they're like, he's going to make it. And Sunday, he was supposed to stay till Monday. It was like a 2-day thing, maybe 3. By Sunday, they're like, you just get him out of here. Yeah, take him home. Because, he had to get his whole belly shaved and huge incision. They have to flip the stomach back. They staple it back so it doesn't flip again. For anyone who's listening that has a dog that's like big barrel-chested, Labrador, Golden Retriever, these dogs, the best thing to avoid this is to not let them eat too fast. And also don't raise their food up. So put the food on the ground level. Because if it's up, it just hits them the wrong way. There's like service dogs that work in the military. They'll go in there and staple the dogs preventatively because it's they can just go like that. And the only reason that my wife knew about bloat was because it happened to one of their friends' family dogs growing up.
Wow.
And you just don't catch it. Like if we lived in a normal house where the dog sleeps downstairs and we're upstairs, dog's dead. And so we were lucky enough that like we live in such a small place that he was so annoying. We're like, there must be an issue. I've talked about it in funnier ways, but it's like hard to make a dying dog joke funny, but we talk about the, just sort of some other aspects of it that were interesting, but it's like just trying to keep this dog alive for our own happiness.
Jeez, I've never heard of that before.
Yeah. And most people, they just go like, we should have let him go. And I had good friends tell me, I got so mad. I go, don't judge me.
That's your choice.
Don't judge me for wanting to save a dog. I mean, yeah, he was 10 or 11. He's lived a couple happy years since then. Now he's got some bowel issues. I do some jokes about how I do a joke about his penis is too big for doggy diapers because he was peeing everywhere. We put the diapers on and it sort of like weaponized his dick, like it pressurized his dick from the elastic of the thing. And he started giving himself a golden shower. Now, that part's not true, but the dick didn't fit into his dick. It's because Basset Hounds are long. If you're a long dog, you need a long dick. And so I do a joke about how his dick hits the ground when he walks, like a blind man's cane, kind of. But if you saw the dog, it's he's swinging his dick.
Wow, get it. What's the dog's name?
Boone. Boone the Basset. Yeah.
Boone with the dick.
Yeah, big dick.
Big dick Boone.
I'm talking like, this is huge. And then I do a thing about how when I brought him to the vet recently, we had to run tests on him because he was like drinking so much water because his bladder's all messed up. And the vet didn't have anything wrong with him. We did blood tests, paid for all this extra. Tasha was like, "You got to get the blood test." I read online, it must be this. The doctor goes, "Your dog's just depressed. He's just depressed." And then the joke that I have with that is I say, "What made him so sad?" And the doctor goes, "Well, what have you done to change your environment?" I say, "Well, I just work from home." Like.
You being there.
I go, am I bumming my dog out?
He has no space. He has to go to Melrose and take a walk.
He's like, I got to get out of here. This guy's podcasting. I can't handle it.
I hear one more thing about The Bachelor.
My dad's nipples are so big. I got a big dick, but those nipples.
Like, I'm glad you saved my life and everything, but.
Yeah, so I'm working out some sort of like, I don't know, harmless dog jokes there, but
well, all of that. I mean, there's so much there. It's not going to be easy. Those are like dark ones.
And he's not going to last much long. I mean, we're having fun. Like, we love him, and we just understand, like, that's the reason why dogs exist. They don't last long. They're lovable creatures that don't last long. They make you cope with, life and all that stuff. So we don't know, like, who knows? I mean, their lifespan of a Basset Hound's like 11 years. He's 14.
Wow,
he's 14 this week.
Great.
He's doing great.
Wow, happy birthday, Boo.
Some live 18 or 19. You know what I mean? Yeah.
18 or 19?
Well, they're so lazy that he's got a lot of tread on the tire. Like, they don't move much. So unlike some dogs who are just all over the place, he just chills out. So like some dogs, if their hips go, they're just like so immobile. He already was immobile. So yeah, now we have to pick him up to get into the car, and he walks super slow, but he doesn't seem too painful. Like he seems to be pretty happy, other than your general Basset Hound or kind of like grumpy or Eeyore kind of vibes. But like I feed him, now that I'm not eating carbs, I ate all the cheese and pepperoni off my pizza, and I've been feeding him the raw dough.
Happy dog.
Tasha's always like, why does he love you so much more than me? I'm like, I have no idea. I just feed him pizza. I couldn't imagine what it is.
We bond all day. That's all.
Because dogs are just likable wolves, right? They come from wolves. They're the wolves that were able to hang out with the people and provide value to the people, maybe bark if any other intruders come, security system. They were able to be suckers enough for people to like them. Basset Hounds don't have much of a skill set other than being so lovable.
And soft.
But they have great noses, and they used to be used to like track down rabbits, and they have like white tail. They're bred for white tails, so when they're running through the brush, you can see their tails.
I didn't know that.
And their ears are so long that it picks up a lot of smells when they touch the ground and all. So they do have a skill set, but in the modern world, the skill sets, they look cute. Like that's the skill.
Yeah, they're really cute.
Just dumb looking. Can't jump, can't walk, can't climb.
Can they get on the couch?
He's got little couch stairs. He can barely go up those.
Well, I'm glad he's alive.
Yeah,
I guess maybe saying that 12,000 would just distract people.
Yeah, or knowing now, because I did it last night and they were like 12 grand, like knowing I'm going to get a reaction, just being prepared for it with another joke. Like I did have the thing where I was like, we could have bought 50 puppies for the price or whatever. But like, yeah, there's enough of a response from the audience to know that something's not being said to talk about it. Maybe I make a joke about using my Amex points. I don't know. Like, I don't know. But it's definitely not finished with that sort of like breaking it down. Yeah,
you have to get them, smack them back. All right, well, before we go, do you have anything you want to plug? What was the show?
Daily podcast every afternoon, Bachelor Rush Hour. If you just want to hear me rant and ramble, you don't have to be a fan of Bachelor. I talk about just my life and all that. And then San Diego, February 15th, be at the Mic Drop Comedy. I think Maddie's going to be there a few weeks before that.
I'm going to be there with him.
What day are you guys going to be there?
Oh, no, I can't remember.
Because I saw that Robert Kelly's going to be there, so I think I might drive just to see him. Because
January 28th.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Oh, nice.
What day is your friend at?
We're doing the 15th of February.
And then you said your other friend's also doing mic drop?
We're doing, Robert Kelly's doing it, but he's like a New York guy, so I might just drive in just to watch him because I think he's that funny.
Yeah, closer than New York.
They're opening an Arizona show.
Yeah, I know. Matt's doing it too.
Is he? It's a smaller room, but he must be getting a good audience now. We'll have to talk after.
He's doing a lot better. He's doing a lot better.
Matt, you can never win with these ladies. He's getting so much better.
That came off so wrong.
No,
I
really get you. We talked about Johnny. Matt's the same way. We've known each other for a long time, and it's nothing but love to see audiences figure out what you already knew. Mm-hmm. It's a funny guy. You both are. Thanks. I'll tell you this. So you're oh, shut up. I hate it when people return compliments.
But I wasn't going to not.
No, well, but you did. No, but you're so likable on stage. And when I saw you crush that day, it look, I mean, I remember it probably more than you do. I was like, man, go fucking get it. Yeah, you did it right. You know, so I'm happy for you guys.
Well, if anyone else is doing dry January or no sugar or something, fucking yo-yo dieters with us.
Yeah, join us.
Good luck.
Life is fun. I feel pain.
Oh, we gotta go. We'll cry. Bye.
Bye.